Hey guys, and welcome to this video. In this video, I want to show you why I think that what's called Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy is a perfect combination to have with ERP therapy, which is taken for the golden standard in OCD treatment. But before I tell you why I think these two are a perfect combination, let's first see what I think about what OCD is.
What is OCD or Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder? OCD is a disorder that's all about cleaning, right? Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's not all there is to it. OCD is really about so much more than cleaning that it's hard to put into words. Here's me some 7 years ago trying to get to the toilet, being perfectionistic about opening my door and stepping on the right places on the floor. OCD is not just about cleaning, it can be quite literally about everything. My best friend, for example, has OCD about being gay. It's called homosexual OCD, and that's what all his OCD is about. OCD is literally like the mentor from Harry Potter. It will scare you and find the worst, most taboo things for you, and it will just keep them on and on and on. It will make you afraid. It will suck all of life out of you. That's what OCD does. It looks for your greatest fear always. Now, OCD is so crazy that it can't even give you an erection when you have homosexual OCD, for example. And you will say, an erection? Mental disorder?
WTF to that?
But it's true, and people go to therapists and they're like, hey, I have an erection when I see another man, but I'm not homosexual, I think, because I read about this thing called homosexual OCD, but the therapist is always just like, nah, he's just gay, he's not accepting it. You can't have erection based off on mental disorder. That's not possible. It cannot create that. He's definitely gay. And then you go to another therapist and they think the same. Oh, he's having an erection because he sees another man. They definitely find him attractive. They are gay. When in reality, OCD is not just thoughts. It takes your fear and it makes it feel absolutely real, even in terms of bodily sensations. And so we go to therapists, we go to counselors, and we feel unheard. We feel like, hey, they just don't get it. And we feel like, hey, you know what? Like, come on, guys. Like, I don't know if it's fear or if it's real. And that's the thing with OCD, because OCD can be quite literally about everything. Everything. Now, if you take a Google search, you will find that this is true. OCD can be about any single topic that you're afraid of. It will take your greatest fear and this will become your OCD. So it's not just about cleaning, guys. There are millions of types of OCD. One of them is real event OCD, where you're afraid of something that really happened. Checking OCD, you check everything. Have I locked my house? You can have pedophilic OCD, homosexual OCD, all that. The thing is that everyone has some greatest fear. Everyone. And if you take a look here on Reddit, people are afraid of dying a slow, painful death. Someone else is afraid of dementia. The point is, everyone has some greatest fear that they're the most afraid of. And that's why OCD is like the mentor. It will find that greatest fear, and here's the most important thing that you gotta know about OCD. It will make it feel like that fear is already happening. It will make it feel to the point where you're unable to decide whether that feel is already happening, whether it's completely real or whether it's just your mind creating that. Brain scans of people with OCD show us that we have the same brain as everyone else does, but our brain reacts differently to fear. So while normal brain is just like, oh, here's fear, okay, our brain reacts to fear like, here's fear. Let's make that fear feel absolutely real. Let's make that fear feel like it's already happening. And everything, emotions, physical sensations are as if it's happening.
And it can actually be happening because last year, a real 10 out of 10 trigger happened to me. And it was a trigger where my fear basically became real. And this can happen. 1 in 4 people get cancer. And when you have health OCD, for example, well, guess what? You may get cancer eventually. I hope you won't, but that's just life. All these things that we are afraid of in our OCD, well, guess what? They can actually happen. We all may hope they won't, but they can. Life is random, it's chaotic, anything can happen. And but ERP recognizes that. ERP recognizes that we should open up to uncertainty and that we should play this game with OCD and be like, hey, maybe it happens and maybe it doesn't. Maybe I get cancer. Or if you're afraid of catching hepatitis, you're maybe like, hey, maybe I won't wash my hands and catch hepatitis. But one thing is, I think, lacking in ERP, and that is that there is absolutely no cognitive work. It's all about just exposing to yourself to what you're afraid of and realizing that, oh, this is how OCD operates. It's all about wanting me to get certainty, so I will get more uncertainty. But there's really no work in terms of cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy is when you challenge your assumptions about life and you try to start thinking in more healthy ways. So you don't change just your behavior, you don't just stop washing hands, but you also start to think about, should I wash hands? Is it really healthy for me to have these thoughts about, oh, I gotta wash hands all the time, I have to be super clean, I can never catch an illness. And that's what cognitive therapy is. You challenge these thoughts and you get to a place of having healthier thoughts that help you more, that are more logical, and that are not so obsessive in case of OCD, for example. Now, why is cognitive therapy not more known, or why is it not talked about more? Well, we all talk about ERP because it has the best efficiency in terms of trials that we did with OCD clients. But the thing is that ERP can have its lacks, and I was one of the people who did ERP and it helped me to an extent, but I still felt like, there's something more to be learned. There's maybe a next step. There's maybe something more to be discovered about OCD that could help me even further. And then I discovered REBT, Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy, which is a form of therapy that also incorporates cognitive therapy work. So it doesn't just want you to stop washing your hands, but it also wants you to acknowledge that illnesses exist, that, people may catch them, but even then, these thoughts and and beliefs about catching these illnesses are not really serving you. They're not really good for you to hold on to, and they are vastly irrational and are damaging you. And that's what this video will be all about: how to combine ERP with rational emotive behavioral therapy and why I think they are a perfect mix. One last thing, guys. Basically, other forms of therapy, they often say something like, well, your thinking is wrong, you're not gay, you're not contaminated, you don't have cancer. But as we said, OCD feels very real. It can be real because life is super random. And thirdly, ERP says that it's actually good not to say these things to yourself, that it's actually good not to be like, oh, it's just a thought, it's not real, it's not reality. Um, ERP, which is the most proven therapy for OCD, says that this is not good to do, that this is seeking certainty, seeking reassurance, running away from your fear instead of facing it. So that's why I particularly like REBT, because REBT, Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy, is like, okay, let's suppose it's real. Let's assume that fear would really be real. Maybe you're right. What would be so bad about it? How could you accept your life anyway? How could you view it as less awful if you truly were gay, if you truly had cancer, if you truly were contaminated? And that's why I think that ERP and REBT is the perfect combination. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up. You can put a subscribe. I'm doing one new video every single week, and have a great one. And future videos are going to be more about REBT, and particular other therapies that are great for OCD, in my opinion. Have a good one, and see you guys later. Peace.